Good morning, and welcome to the Universalist Church in which love is the Spirit. We're glad you're here, whether you're here in the sanctuary today or anywhere in the world on our live stream. I'm Joe Wilson, one of your representatives on our Board of Trustees. If you're a visitor, we hope you'll sign one of our guest books at either entrance to the sanctuary or visit our webpage, westhartforduu.org, to learn more. There, you can use the contact page to get onto our electronic mailing list, which is the best way for us to all stay connected. We look forward to helping you become part of the Universalist Church. They will have fellowship in Fisk Hall. If you need help finding your way to Fisk Hall, any member of the church will be happy to guide you. Just look for someone wearing one of these name tags, or else follow the herd, because we all like the smell of coffee. It's that way. I also have an announcement today as well. Our guest preacher today is the Reverend Lydia Ferrante-Roseberry, who is a consultant with a Stewardship for Us, helping prepare us for our stewardship work and the upcoming capital campaign. Bringing 20 years of parish experience, including a successful $4.5 million capital campaign for an environmentally sustainable building project in 2020. Her full bio is on the back of your order of service. And I believe you have...
Yep, I'm happy to come and do the next ones. We have a couple more announcements as well. One is that our social justice ministry is doing the work of voter encouragement these days, and so there will be a phone bank happening at 3 p.m. this afternoon. You might have participated in the postcard signing and sending campaign that we've done, which is fabulous. Now is an opportunity to speak to actual voters if they pick up the phone, or leave them a message if they don't. And what we're trying to do is encourage registered voters in Georgia through the Center for Common Ground. It is a nonpartisan phone banking effort. So we are not encouraging anybody to vote for a particular candidate, but rather just to do the civic duty of getting out and voting. The social justice folks will have a table during fellowship hour to tell you about what they're doing. So please pick a flyer up from them and join the phone banking this afternoon. I know that they would love to have your help. And frankly, our nation could use our help as well. I also want to let you know that we are going to be seeking some more ushers and some readers. So if you are looking for a really low stakes, easy way to do some volunteering, I suggest you become an usher. And if you're looking for a way to do something that involves some public speaking and a little bit less low stakes, but maybe a little more visible kind of volunteering, let me know that you'd like to be a reader. You'll see that that is what Joe is doing later in the service today. And so it's not too hard, but it's a wonderful way for you to become involved in helping provide worship for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. You can find the link for Zoom Fellowship in your weekly news or our Breeze calendar. If you aren't getting the weekly news, please sign up for it now. Now I invite you to take a moment to make your mobile phone silent, turn off your email, put away your keyboards, and settle in for worship.
It's a delight to be here. As Joe mentioned, I am a consultant with Stewardship for Us, and I've been invited to work with this fine congregation by your minister and by some lay leaders. I spent yesterday training some of the visiting stewards and meeting with the Capital Campaign co-chairs Matt Schreck and Jennifer Kresbach. Our consultant group works to build cultures of generosity and commitment within UU congregations. And you have such a fine congregation here, and it's such a beautiful building that I'm delighted to help you both name and claim your vision and renovate this building so that it matches your desires. More on that a little later. I want to offer some chalice lighting words from Reverend Gregory Scott Pelley. And so we gather from the ebb and flow of our lives, thirsty for connection to ourselves, thirsty for connection to others, thirsty for connection to the larger life. As we light this chalice, may all who gather here be filled with joy and hope, filled with compassion and love. Here may we be filled so we may pour ourselves out into the world. If you have a chalice at home, please light it now as well. Our opening hymn is number 347 in the gray hymnal, Gather the Spirit. Please rise in body or in spirit in the sanctuary or wherever you are joining us for worship today.
Let's join together in speaking the words of our affirmation. Our covenant, it's printed in the order of service and it's in the description online. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated.
Good morning. Today is a very special day for our LRE community. Today is our backpack blessing. Some of you may have seen, but I did ask all of our children to bring their school backpacks today. Show of hands, who remembered their backpack? A few, that's good. It's okay, it's still September. It's early. For most children in our congregation, the school year has started and new routines have begun. Some of you may be excited about a new school year, a new grade, a new classroom, a new teacher, or even a new school. For some, there might be anxiety about this change. There might be nervousness or sadness. Change can be hard. But as we face the change of a school year, we remember that you are not alone. You are surrounded by love, not just from your family, but from your church family. When classes feel strange and new, when homework seems like too much, when the long days in the classroom feel overwhelming, we as a congregation are here for you. And to show that, we have our backpack blessings. They look just like this, if you can see them. We have 6 colors on our blessing, and each of these colors stands for one of our values, so that you can carry those with you. We have justice, interdependence, trying to remember.
Oh, it's all good. So, there's a great phrase for this.
I'm trying to say the phrase in my head.
It's
Justice insists everyone gets to play.
So, justice,
Interdependence,
everyone, equity.
Equity. I'm getting quizzed. It's a school year.
You have to remember, this is just since June that our congregations have voted in to pay attention to these new ways of looking at who we are as a community, right? So these values, we're still all learning this together. So justice insists everyone. Justice,
Interdependence, equity,
gets.
Generosity.
Exactly. 2.
Transformation.
And play.
Pluralism.
There we go.
Got it. Nailed it.
All right, so here's the thing. The backpack blessings are a very, very new thing. This is the first year we're doing this, but we have learned about this from some of our other congregations and are happy to share it with you. So that means we're also creating a brand new ritual. So here's how it's going to work. If you will take those to the back of the sanctuary, ushers, if you will help Hannah distribute these in kind of groups across the rows of the back of the sanctuary, what you're going to do, everybody in the congregation, you're going to take at least one of these at a time, hold it, and send in all of your very best wishes and thoughts and hopes and blessings for our children for this school year. And then you're just going to pass them up to the people in the seats in front of you. And we're going to keep passing them up until they all get up here so that they are full of all of us, and then we're going to distribute them to our kids so that they have these to take with them to school. And if we have extras, and I suspect we might, we'll save them so that any new kids who join us over time will also carry our blessings for their school year with them. All right, folks in the back, do you know what we're doing? Those of you along those back pews, are you ready to take hold of some backpack blessings, bless them and pass them forward? You're going to do this multiple times, so just get used to holding things and passing them along. But no matter whether... Yes, good. So no matter whether you think that physical objects can actually hold blessings, or you think that these things are just simply good reminders, it doesn't actually matter that much. In the end, what's important is that our kids take something with them that lets them know that they are held and loved and appreciated. All right. No, that's all right. I've basically done my part. So we're going to start gathering them from up here. So you should probably let me take that.
And I'll start this part.
Yeah. When you're ready.
Okay. At this time, if there are any keychains that have made it to the front, Adam is coming around with the basket to collect them. And as we continue, keep bringing them up, keep going. And as we're bringing them up, I'm going to lead us all as a congregation through our blessing. Let us all join together to make a promise to our children and bless them as they move through the school year. We promise to hold our children in our hearts, to send them love and comfort and protection, and to hold space for them. We promise to bless the backpacks they carry, that they may be a comforting hand on their backs, a symbol of the strength we send with them every day. Please repeat after me. We promise. Wonderful. Do we have all of our keychains? Are there any stragglers left?
Oh, yeah, there's some working their way up.
Okay. We have plenty. So at this time, I'm going to invite all of the children, whether you have your backpacks or not, it's okay, to come up. You can come up in a line up the center aisle and receive your backpack blessing that you can carry with you at school. And once you have finished getting your backpack blessing, you can have a seat for just a moment while I give the instructions for what we're going to do next. Okay. Another question, too. Are there any adults in the congregation who may be in school who would like a blessing for their backpack? Anyone? It's okay. They're beautiful. They're a lovely accessory. I see a couple hands. I'll save some for you.
Let me see. I see, okay.
Are there any teachers who would like a blessing for their work bags? And if you are a teacher in this room, can we just all, as a congregation, silently give a little love to our teachers too? Did everyone get a blessing who would like one? I see two over here.
And I see that there were a couple that way.
Hopefully I don't run out. If I do, I can make more. I'm sorry, I'm giving you all of your steps today. Beautiful. All right, let me know how many I need and I will make them. All right. At this time, I am going to invite all of our children and our families, parents, caregivers, anybody who is here with their children, to follow me. We are going to go up the stairs and we are going to go to our LRE open house. Upstairs, I have information on all of our curriculum. I have examples of some of our materials. You can see all of the classrooms set up and ready to go. I also have a scavenger hunt for families to do and some pretty cool stickers for those who finish it. So at this time, I ask that we please sing our family and children out. It is number 413 in the gray hymnal. And you can all follow me.
Go now in peace, may the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, may the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
It is a blessing to be able to sing that song twice through. It is also a blessing to know that we have a recording of the service so that all the folks who are stepping out right now will be able to go back and watch what happened in here as well as participate in our religious education programming. We are an incredibly fortunate community. And because we are fortunate, we also like to share that good fortune with one another and the world. The voluntary offering, the sharing of our resources for our shared work as a religious community, is a spiritual practice for us. By offering your time, talent, and treasure to this community, you help us to serve our members, our friends, and the wider world. And so we share each week what we receive with an organization out in the world that does the work of creating the beloved community as well. This month, we share our offering with the Brain Injury Alliance of Connecticut. Their mission is to raise voices and visibility of people with brain injury and improve lives through support, education, and advocacy. You can give electronically by using QR codes in your order of service, or the links in the description, or the links on our website. And here in the sanctuary, we will also now receive, quite gratefully, our offering. May these gifts sustain the life of this community, the work that we do together, and help to support the wider world of which we are a part. Thank you. Thank you. Please rise, in body or in spirit, as we speak our congregational reading. It's number 468 in the back of the gray hymnal. Number 468. I'll read the words in Roman type, and together we'll respond with the words in italics. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success, when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. Let's join in singing our doxology. It's in your order of service in the description.
Praise God for love we all may share. Praise God for beauty everywhere. Praise God for hope of good to be. Praise God for truth that makes us free. Amen.
Please be seated. I have a number of things that I know are happening within the congregation and that nobody has said yet that they want to share with everybody, but that they hope and pray and appreciate the good wishes and the helpful thoughts and the compassion and kindness of their fellow members of the congregation. And so in this moment, while I am not going to share names with you of folks who are having a hard time, I'm going to ask you to open your hearts and your sympathy and your compassion. Maybe do a little extra good thing for somebody. If you haven't seen somebody in a while, reach out and say hello, send a text message. But let's hold one another within our graciousness today, knowing that there are people around us who are celebrating quietly and sorrowful quietly, and recovering quietly, and striving quietly too. Let us hold them in our hearts and take a moment to pray together. We give thanks. We give thanks to one another, to all that helps us to live, to existence itself. We give thanks for blessings, blessings on backpacks, blessings of friendship, of a congregation that thrives. We give thanks for this day, this weather, the possibility of hope for the future. In our gratitude, let us commit to finding ways, great and small, to make the world better, to ease one another's hardships, so that gratitude flows easily from every being. Let us take a moment in stillness together. We give our thanks to this earth for providing for us, We give our thanks to the people of this earth, to whom we are related, to whom we receive and give love and care. And we give our thanks to the indefinable, the indescribable, the very mysteries of being, for the fact that we exist at all. Amen. Blessed be.
Our first reading is Deep Listening by John Fox. When someone deeply listens to you, it's like holding a dented cup you've had since childhood and watching it fill up with cold, fresh water. When it bounces on top of the brim, you're understood. When it overflows and touches your skin, you're loved. When someone deeply listens to you, the room where you stay starts a new life, and the place where you wrote your first poem begins to glow in your mind's eye. It is as if gold has been discovered. When someone deeply listens to you, your bare feet are on the earth, and a beloved land that seemed distant is now at home within you. Our second reading is Turning to One Another by Margaret Wheatley. There is no power greater than a community discovering what it cares about. Ask, what's possible, not what's wrong. Keep asking. Notice what you care about. Assume that many others share your dreams. Be brave enough to start a conversation that matters. Talk to people you know. Talk to people you don't know. Talk to people you never talk to. Be intrigued by the differences you hear. Expect to be surprised. Treasure curiosity more than certainty. Invite in everybody who cares to work on what's possible. Acknowledge that everyone is an expert about something. Know that creative solutions come from new connections. Remember, you don't fear people whose story you know. Real listening always brings people closer together. Trust that meaningful conversations can change the world. Rely on human goodness. Stay together.
It was March 11th, 2011, and the people on Japan's east coast were doing their business as usual. Fishermen were putting away their nets after a productive day of sales. School children in uniforms were skipping home. Women were shopping in the markets. Then the earth shook, literally, for 6 full minutes. And after those many minutes of shaky grounds, the government alerts began. A tsunami was on its way, bigger than anyone could have imagined when the levees were built years ago. People had 20 minutes tops, to leave their coastal towns for higher ground. Perhaps you might recall this story or this devastation. Many of us, however, not directly affected by this natural disaster, have moved on. And certainly mainstream media dropped it as soon as the next natural disaster struck. But years after the tsunami, another story emerged. A story that speaks to the heart and soul of our human condition. It can be seen as a cautionary tale, or it can be seen as a tale of great hope. A post-disaster study explored the mortality rates in different Japanese coastal towns. In some, up to 15% of the population perished. 15%. In others, there was no loss of life. None. One would predict that the size of the waves would influence mortality rates, and in most cases, it did. But there were notable exceptions. Looking more closely at these communities, this is what they found. In Rifu, when word of the impending tsunami got out, people gathered up their belongings. They gathered up their things and they ran. Many people died. In Fude, when the sirens blew, people gathered up their people and ran. Picture it. One group of people filling their arms, their cars with photo albums, computers, maybe some TVs, clothes, a few mementos, carrying their things to safety, seeking to save themselves as best they could. The other, filling up their arms, their cars with the people they love, not only blood relatives, but the old woman across the way who can't run and no longer drives, and whose sons live inland, hours away. And they knew that about each other. They carried each other to safety, saving each other as fast as they could, and almost no one perished. Now, this made a difference not only in the mortality rates, but in the amount of migration out of their community after the disaster, and the amount of post-traumatic stress experienced in their entire community as they rebuilt. Researchers chalked this up to the amount of social capital that each community had built before the crisis. Social capital. What social scientists, the word that social scientists use for deeply knowing that we need one another, the thing we actually know in our hearts. There are more than a few sirens going off around the state of social capital in this country. There are signs that our interconnectedness with others is waning, especially with people we deem as different from us. More than 2 decades ago, Harvard professor Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone shone the light on our shrinking connectivity to one another. All the physical signs of our connectedness are dropping. Being a part of a club, union membership, although that's going up a little bit, taking leadership in our community organizations, even family dinners and having friends over. Studies show that all of these are down. We're just not relating to one another face to face, human to human, as we used to. And this was before the pandemic. And yet, even as our social capital is shrinking, a hunger prevails. How does your connection to others outside your family enrich your life? How does this congregation, a beacon of interconnectedness, add value to your days? How do you feel when someone deeply listens to you? Right now, we are being pulled apart by a politic of fear and deceit, which I believe could not have gotten this far without the erosion of social capital over the past few decades. In the middle of the last century, Reverend James Luther Adams, a Unitarian religious scholar and prophet, taught a generation of seminarians that voluntary associations, the Rotary Clubs, the NAACPs, even the bowling leagues, and yes, our congregations, were the saving collective act of a people. This he learned in Europe. He was there in the 1930s, and he watched the Nazis take power within a structure of weak, non-governmental social organizations, like churches, Rotary Clubs, those sorts of things. There were very few outside groups, places where people could congregate and freely express their dissent. When he returned to this country in the late 1930s, early 40s, his entire ministry was committed to strengthening social capital, although he didn't call it that, through our many American institutions, including our Unitarian churches. Leaning into that hunger for depth and meaning that literally can save our lives. Robert Putnam asserts joining and participating in one group cuts in half your odds of dying next year. Connecting to one another deeply matters. Now, 6 years after telling that tsunami story at an ordination of a colleague, my own community in Colorado had a climate change-induced natural disaster. December 30th, 2001, 6 months before the fire season usually starts in Colorado, a grass fire started just southeast of the city of Boulder, and within minutes, the winds of upward of 100 miles per hour had that fire roaring up a grassy hillside toward multiple suburban neighborhoods in Louisville and Superior, Colorado. It wasn't long before my family heard the sirens and saw the smoke, even saw billowing flames from our front door. Within an hour and a half of its initial sparks, my family was required to evacuate, along with 37,000 other local residents. My son, who loves stuff, gathered a suitcase of his favorite clothes, his most cherished stuffed animals, a few pictures and Christmas cards his grandmother had given him, our dog, and our pet snake. And we drove through the ash falling like snow to our friend's house, which was 45 minutes north of us. We stayed up all night, monitoring fire maps, checking in on friends and neighbors, while staff and members of the congregation I served who weren't affected by the fire called through the phone list of everyone living in Superior and Louisville. At the end of it, our house was fine, I'm so grateful to say, but it was within a mile of the fire line, and for years we drove through charred homes. Over 1,000 other homes were destroyed, including the houses of 4 congregant families. If you've ever lived through anything like this, you know that after the dust settles and the embers cool, the outpouring of love is overwhelming if a community is well-resourced and well-knit together. We saw what happened in Hurricane Katrina for those communities that were considered disregarded. But in my small town, that's what happened. We were well-knit, well put together, and that's what happened in the congregation I served. The congregation raised about $70,000 in a week for the families of those who lost their homes. Our director of religious education made love baskets with lotions and fluffy slippers and movie gift cards for everyone who was evacuated, not just the families who lost their homes. It was over 40 families. We created a support group for those families that lost their homes, and I joined a family at the empty lot of their house with all of their belongings gone to help them mourn their loss. One of the displaced members of our congregation lost a beautiful home on the edge of that grassy knoll that the fire sped up and ended up in a small rental apartment a town over. She'd just retired from teaching a week before the fire. And in the months following the fire, she spent a lot of time at our fellowship, saying that it was the place that most felt like home to her. This outpouring of love, this feeling of belonging, wasn't created because of the fire. The disaster amplified what was already there, a solid social fabric built slowly over time in intentional spaces like our congregation. After a while, the public moves on to the next crisis, but institutions with a solid relational base are there for people in the long haul. Before I left my ministry, I got to bless the new house of those people whose house I mourned. And knowing that the outpouring of support would wane sooner than the need for support, I gave out the last money that the congregation collected 2 years after the fire. I'm no longer serving a congregation, but I'm still wildly committed to weaving connections between people. That's why I do this work for Stewardship for Us. And like James Luther Adams, I believe that our social institutions are what's going to save us, and their erosion troubles me deeply. In addition to working with UU congregations like yours to help them thrive, I also work part-time for a faith-based community organizing project called Together Colorado. I believe it does work similar to your Greater Hartford Interfaith Action Alliance, if people are familiar with that group. Yeah. So I was connected to Together Colorado as a minister, serving a congregation for many years. And as a community organizer, which I did before seminary, I'm actually going back to one of the key things that I know works for social capital: one-to-one relationships. Each week in my weekly staff report, I'm required to write down how many one-to-one conversations I had, with who, what their intent was, and what the outcome was. Did I help someone feel connected? Did I help them move from the despairing sidelines of political apathy? Did I help them learn about themselves, stretch in their leadership, understand their personal and collective power better? In the organizing I do, we know that power is in the relationship, and that relationships are built slowly, one by one, with deep listening that always, always brings people together. Nothing beats it for building that life-enhancing, life-saving web of connection. 2 years after the worst of the pandemic, I don't know of any congregation or any community organization that isn't wondering how to reweave their connections. This devastation wasn't as sudden as a tsunami or a wildfire, but its impacts have been real. I'm sure you're feeling them. So much has been frayed. So just like the community organization I work with, your congregation is going back to basics, back to the building blocks of one-to-one conversations with each other as part of your annual pledge drive. I've been told it's been a few decades maybe since you last did this. And so for many of you, it will be a new experience. That's great. I will say that again. This new experience is great. Why do it now? Why have these one-to-one conversations as part of a stewardship drive when in the past people just responded to a letter? In part, you're doing this because you're beginning planning for a capital campaign. And one-to-one visits are essential to the success of a capital campaign. That's coming up next year. But more important to my heart and to the vitality of this congregation is one-to-one conversations will strengthen the webs of connection. Financially sustaining your congregation is vitally important, and learning about what that takes will be a part of the pledge drive. But no matter how much you collectively raise this year, I guarantee you that this congregation will be richer for these conversations. Because I'm going to bet that you will leave a one-to-one conversation more energized than you came in. Here's how it works. This weekend, I will have trained over 20 stewards, and on Tuesday evening, I'll train the rest over Zoom. Each of these stewards has about 4 families to contact, and in a matter of weeks, they will be calling the rest of you and asking you for a visit of about a half an hour or 45 minutes. Please accept their visit. Honestly, 80% or more of the visit is about sharing, getting to know each other better. You and your steward will share what brought you to the congregation and what keeps you coming, what your hopes and dreams are, and what you find challenging. And you will be asked to make a pledge for next year during this visit as well. Confidentially, make a pledge. If you use a paper form, there will be an envelope to put it in, and if you pledge online, you can do so on your own, and the stewards will check back with you to make sure you got your pledge in. In any stewardship drive, any pledge of whatever size is welcome. It is the generosity of your heart that is actually being invited here. Guaranteed, these visits will weave new threads of connection in your congregation. Just yesterday during the training, 2 members who knew of each other but didn't know each other discovered a connection between their kids and Scouts that they never knew they had. And the stories that people told about First Universalist Church of West Hartford, about what it meant to them after surgeries, about memorializing their loved ones here, and having their children married in this sanctuary, about this congregation as a place of respite, and as this congregation being their place where they have a core group of friends. That's just what I heard amongst 8 people yesterday morning, and it brought tears to my eyes. We never know when the earth will shake and the next tsunami will flood our lives, be it the death of a loved one, addiction that's ravaging our families, a job loss, or natural disaster, or political uprising. What we do know is that building connections, one by one, intentionally, with curiosity and with love, fills our cup so that when those moments come, we will instinctually carry one another to safety. May this journey you are on of intentional one-to-one conversations feed your souls and energize your collective lives as well as your congregation's coffers. May it be so. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, 10:008 in the blue hymnal.
Normally, I would say to you after we speak our benediction, please be seated for our postlude. But I know that we're about 10 minutes past the hour, and some of you have kids to pick up from the nursery and to check in on with the open house. So if you do need to leave the room, by all means do so. Otherwise, please do remain and enjoy our postlude when we get there. For now, let us speak together our unison benediction. It's in your order of service and the description online. Engage with the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Please be seated.